Hello, hello. Let's see if you can hear me. Let me adjust the um, volume here a little bit. Sound settings. I'm gonna turn the mic all the way on. There you go. You should hear me a lot better now. Well, everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Everybody, Cantonese Cat here. Quick update. I was gonna do a live stream tomorrow anyway, but got snowed in. Figure I'll just do a live stream, just talking about crypto and altcoins in general. Not going to talk too much about stocks. I got a bunch of requests already. I have them all written down. I'm going to try to get through them as much as possible tomorrow. But I just wanted to get a head start to knock out a lot of the thoughts and requests, especially when it comes to crypto. I already got a few crypto requests here. Bitcoin, so far, it's been just kind of going crazy. I'm going to show you the 1 hour chart here, which is just absolutely insane in terms of what it's been doing. Like, what is this thing right here on the 1 hour chart? Like, what the heck is this? If this doesn't look algorithmic, I don't know what does, right? Like, it just looks like it's just kind of goes straight line here for about consecutively how many hours? 4, 8, 12, 14 hours, all the way up, right? And of course, together with the market, I think they were really just pumping this up because they knew that there was going to be a dump in the market, and they thought that Bitcoin probably already had some. Hey, how's it going, Christian? They thought that probably Bitcoin's already dumped enough, and they didn't really think that it needed to be dumped anymore. I'm going to show you why I think that is. And yeah, they decided to just algorithmically just pump Bitcoin all the way up here for 14 hours straight. So whenever it dumps, it just dump and just backtest the basis line over here and just kind of finds the support here and just kind of go up higher from here. Now we are pumping so far for the last hour. You can tell that price went all the way from like 93,000 all the way up to almost like 96,000. We are at resistance on the 1 hour here on the upper Bollinger Band. We are at resistance here on the 2 hour chart here in the upper Bollinger Band. On the 4 hour, we're not so much at resistance, but we're trying to reclaim the basis line here, which is a positive development, right? On the daily, we are essentially getting really back close to the basis resistance here. Now, does it mean that it has to get rejected and it comes back down again like it did over here? Not necessarily. I think that we were trying to reclaim the basis line, the 20-day moving average here. We were trying to do that, but it was still too negatively sloping. So here we just ended up, averaging out. We wanted to just go ahead and possibly touch up the Bollinger Band here. And it had to come back and back test it whenever it touches the upper Bollinger Band, because this move right here has to be tested. Came back down. The 20-day moving average was still pointing down. Initially, it was hoping they would hold. Nope, it didn't end up holding. Where did it end up going? It went up, going down to the low Bollinger Band here, almost to the dollar, right? And after you touch the low Bollinger Band, now you're seeing the daily chart with the 20-day moving average is starting to turn flat here a little bit. Because overall, if you're averaging it all out, it actually does seem like it did nothing over the last 20 days, does it? I do think that most likely it probably end up hovering around the 95,000, maybe even a little bit lower, maybe for tomorrow as well. And it can go as low as down to like 93,000 again. But overall, if you give it enough time, I think this daily moving average over here, 20-day moving average, is going to turn up flat. And that might be the point where it might be vulnerable for attack for us to try to reclaim it. That's kind of what I'm thinking on the lower time frame here. If you look at a heat map, actually, it hasn't really been working out all that well recently. But if you look at heat map, actually, it's been working out pretty well. There are a lot of people that just got super bearish on what happened. They decided to short it right around 95,800, 96,000, somewhere around there. And they ended up just got liquidated over here. Some liquidity got grabbed. Doesn't sound very PC, but somebody got grabbed. Okay, so that's maybe they're not. Maybe they're happy to get grabbed. Maybe that's why they end up doing it. Regardless, we're chopping right here, so we are gonna just see whether or not this price action is able to kind of flip this from a little bit negative sloping here to a little bit more flat or positive sloping here to allow us to kind of reclaim that before we go up higher. Mr. MC squared 100 has raised a question. If I want to gain exposure to crypto with stocks, should I invest in coin or MSTR now at the current prices as they both are testing support? I think it depends on a lot of things. I do have a small position in MSTR, but I mean, I can just get to them real quick, I guess, since I'm talking about Bitcoin here. But my quick thought is this: I prefer coin because I don't really think that the altcoin season has started. I'm a little bit lazy. I think if you look in the short term, I still think that MSTR probably still got enough strength to kind of beat Coinbase. And this is like a weird chart that I do sometimes. This is a MSTR over coin chart, right? So you can tell whether or not one is outperforming the other. If this goes higher, that means that MSTR is outperforming coin. If this goes lower, that means that MSTR is gonna underperform Coinbase. If you look at the weekly chart, you can see how it's just been forming higher highs and higher lows. It looks like MSTR has just been really outperforming Coinbase. It looks like it's forming a little bit of a bull flag here. It looks like the 20-week moving average is going up. It looks like this trend is just going to be non-stop. If you look at the monthly, you also see that there's a little bit of bullish band expansion here too. So theoretically, if you think that the trend is your friend, then MSTR would just keep on going to the moon, right? With the exception that I do think that this is a little bit too far overextended. I do think that MSTR is already like way outperformed Coinbase for way too far, way too long. And I think that whenever you have these multiple candles way outside the upper Bollinger Band here, especially with the candle here in November, I do wonder whether or not you're going to experience a little bit of a trend change, or at least retrace back to the mean here a little bit, right? And that could happen for months. So I don't know exactly the answer to that. And if you also just look at the weekly here too, I can see that even though this is a little bit of a bull flag, it does look a little bit exhausted, right? If I pull up the RSI here, you can see how this ratio has been going up, and you can see how RSI has been going down. So there's a little bit of bearish divergence of this MSTR over Coinbase chart, together with the fact that you remember what the last cycle when Bitcoin kept on going up a lot higher, right? The last cycle when Bitcoin kept on going up a lot higher, Bitcoin peaked in April 2021, right? And actually, it made even a higher high in November 2021, right? When did MicroStrategy end up peaking? MicroStrategy ended up peaking in February 2021, right? And it did not really make a higher high in November 2021. Not even this wick here was basically almost like equal to this wick over here, but it did not make a higher high at all. So MSTR to me, I think, is a little bit more like an early cycle player. I still think MSTR probably would continue to do well, but I just think that Coinbase might end up taking over because I think that altcoin season might be just right around the corner, which is the whole point of the show. Is CoinL a long-term hold like Tesla? Is it a short-term swing? Depends on what you think about short-term swing. I think CoinL, you're going to have a significant beta decay. Like, you're going to have a lot of decay here with CoinL. You can see how Coinbase is making high, over here, but CoinL didn't, right? Because it's just chopped sideways and it just went down for way too long, right? So you can see how this red candle over here only got to no more than half of the previous candle over here. CoinL got really close to half, right? So you can see that it has significant decay here. The question is, if I'm bullish on Coinbase over the next 6 months, which I am. So for example, like over here, right? You're talking about Coinbase going from 30 over to like 100, 110, right? Over here, CoinL went from 3 to like 20. So this almost got to about 8x, whereas Coinbase got to maybe about like 3.5 to 4x. If you think that there's going to be a 6-month stretch like that's going to come, I think CoinL is going to be maybe a little bit of a better play, even with DK. So because I feel that way, and I wasn't really sure, I was when I saw this November, like even in October, I was getting pretty bullish, like right around here. So I didn't know it was just going to keep going or it's going to end up coming back and correct. I did not know that, right? I did not want to really take a chance, so I just ended up buying CoinL. And right now, I'm still a little bit in profits. Obviously I wasn't as heavily in profit as I was before, but it could backtest the arc here. Sure, it could backtest the 0.786 here. Sure, it can do all that, and it just ended up doing it. And that's okay. But even CoinL right now is still looking pretty strong because all it's really doing is just backtesting a very strong support level over here. Again, arc and again 45-degree angle, and again horizontal level and the 1.236 foot level here is holding. Looks like it's doing pretty well, right? So I'm gonna long CoinL here for the foreseeable future over the next 6 months and see where it takes me. I have not really had a chance to look at MSTX. Yeah, and you talk about these 2x stocks, especially if they pay dividend, it's just going to be super weird, I see a potential for the week, and it depends on what Bitcoin does, depends on what IWM does, depends on how the market does. I can see the potential for the week, and it doesn't have to happen. I can see potential for the week to end up closing about 1.414. And if that's the case, that would be great. But all it did really is just come back to us again a level here. It wasn't even able to close to this gap here completely, right? It's just stuck in a range, just forming a bull flag. Everybody got scared because price dropped like 50% after it's gone up like 4,000%. So I'm not really like scared about MSTR. The trend is still bullish as far as I can tell. The question is whether or not there's any sign for exhaustion. And the way to really see number one is to see whether or not there's any Bollinger Band, curling back up. It's just kind of flattening out because it hasn't really done anything for like the last 2 months. But the upper Bollinger Band is still pointing upwards, right? Also look at the Ichimoku. I also like to see whether or not the Tenkan and Kijun, the red and blue line, have been turned into resistance, like it did during this last cycle here. It turned to resistance. I'm like, I don't really like that as much. But right now it's still support like it was over here. Look at a higher time frame, on the 2-month. This is resistance here, right? This is still support. Even 3-month, this is resistance here very clearly. This is still support. So I still think that it has room to go up as far as I can tell. I can't say that it has topped, I guess is what I'm trying to say. If you're also looking at the RSI here, you are seeing some weekly bearish divergence, right? But on the higher time frame here, on 2 week, you see some. On the monthly here, I see a little bit of relative bearish divergence because price went up, but RSI didn't really go up that much. Sometimes price can go up a lot higher on bearish divergence, but we're not nearly as overheated like as we are over here. So, and I still think that Bitcoin is still gonna end up going up higher. I'm gonna talk about MSTX here a little bit. I haven't even looked at this chart here, so. Yeah, not really enough history for me to really like chart this. So one way to do it would be, let me see. I'm just going to do this like racial thing here real quick. This is so weird. MSTX over MSTR. Well, I guess it's not really weird. Downtrend to decelerate to the downside, uptrend to decelerate to the upside. So this is not really helpful here. But it's still looking okay. Let me see. There's just not enough candles for me to really do anything about it, to be honest. It still looks okay. I mean, I think it still mirrors MSTR pretty well. Although, I guess this like today is just kind of really messed with. I don't know. Yeah, it's hard for me to chart MSTX, so I'm just gonna leave it alone. We will get to Doge here. We will get to Tesla tomorrow. We'll get to miners tomorrow too. I just want to knock off a lot of thoughts on crypto here real quick because I was really kind of seeing some things going on here at Bitcoin. Going back to Bitcoin here, again, I was telling you that, hey, it's hitting a lot of resistance here with different time frames here, right? On the 1 hour, 2 hour, it was hitting resistance here. So yeah, you're probably going to end up getting rejected here. Sure enough, it is, and it's going down, and everybody's getting sad again. Even on the 1 day chart here, yeah, it's getting close to resistance here, but that's okay, because on the higher time frame, let me see. Because on the higher time frame, I'm gonna say that like 3 or 4 or 5 times. I have different Gann charts here. Whenever price got up to like the 100, 203, I thought that it wasn't just going to push through, because there's a Gann art over here. It's probably going to end up getting stuck here for a few weeks at least, you know. And people didn't really believe me on that. Now they got rejected. They think that prices will go all the way down to like the angle here or something like that to backtest. Well, it depends, right? Right here, I have the Gann here. This is drawn on 360, 500 on a weekly. If you're also kind of looking around, doing a little bit of a different Gann numbers here, which I do, this is 720 and 500. And you can see it gives you a little bit of different market symmetry. Still pretty good market symmetry here. This is based on the COVID low here. And this angle over here has just been serving as great market symmetry as both support and resistance. You know, resistance, flipping and support, couldn't hold, back testing it, pushed it through again, now back testing the support, right? This Gann over here also shows you that, hey, we are pushing against the arc resistance over here. We are trying to get stuck here in a range. We're trying to use this angle over here as support. And, you know, whenever it kind of broke down underneath here, everybody's scared, but hey, it could be a wick, just like it could be a wick up here, right? Well, what are we doing? Are we getting a little bit closer to the end of the road here? And this can keep going on brutally for another 4 weeks if it wants to, or it can just make a decision right now. It can just plummet all the way down to 60,000, or you can just push through the arc and just keep going higher, right? Overall, with consolidation, what do you think is going to happen? Well, with consolidation, what I think is going to happen is there's going to be continuation of the primary trend. The primary trend is up, so probably going to go up. But yeah, so far it's looking pretty decent. I just don't believe that this is the top, right? You're gonna have a lot of people saying this is the top. Trees are top, sure. By the way, if you like listen to like K Kim about the wave trend oscillator and how it could be, yeah, like how the wave trend oscillator is calling it top for Bitcoin. Like I just don't know. Like Uncle K has been wrong. He's been right, he's been wrong. So I'm just gonna take that with a grain of salt. So I don't really see that parabolic move for Bitcoin happening yet. It basically happens every single cycle. And it basically happens on the odd year every 4 years, right? So 2025 would be the year. Theoretically, this is a 4-year cycle for it to happen. And if it was going to happen, you know, in January in 2017 here, it didn't really happen quite just yet. Like Livestream didn't really expand until like April, where it just kept on going like crazy for about 8 months. Over here, we have the same thing, right? We have the Bollinger Band contraction, expansion, contraction, expansion, contraction, expansion, right? It actually does a few things. It contracts, expand, contracts, expand, contracts, expand, contracts, expand, right? Contracts, expand, contracts, expand, contract, expand, question mark. We just haven't really had that euphoria yet to warrant any significant Bitcoin crash. We have the same amount of the accumulation time as we did before as the previous cycles, that the whales are probably going to want to use some kind of narratives and excuse to try to pump Bitcoin up a lot higher. And we just simply haven't had that impulsive price action to really expand the Bollinger Band up and down, right? That just hasn't really happened yet. So I'm going to look at this. I'm going to still be skeptical here that Bitcoin has topped. We are a little bit in a dilemma here because we are a little bit over the Tenkan occasion, just like we were over here, right? But I just wonder at some point if price is going to get impulsive, it's just going to pull the Tenkan occasion up together with it. Or it could just correct sideways and wait for the thing to come up, which is fine. I'm okay with that, whatever. I just think that once you bounce off the cloud, something really more impressive is supposed to happen. It just simply hasn't happened yet. It's still a bull trend. There's no reason to think that it's not. The Tenkan is down here. Yeah, it's around 80,000. Does it have to come back and back test 80,000? A lot of people are calling for it. So I don't know. Yeah, so I have no idea what to kind of think about it. In terms of people screaming for it lower, yeah, I can see a possibility, but they're just screaming a little bit too loud for me to want to believe that. I think this week is going to close above the rising Tenkan. I think this week is going to close above the blue line that's pointing up here. And right now the Tenkan is around 94,322. I think it's probably going to end up doing that. On the monthly chart of Bitcoin, I'm going to say it again, on the monthly chart of Bitcoin, I do have a, hey Jules, hi everybody, low gains, Srijit, Nicholas, everybody, yeah, Nick, I saw, yes, I probably charted the wrong thing, Nicholas, sorry, I'm going to make a note of that. You said it was SPR, SPIR on TSX. Okay, got it. Anyway, I'll try to look at it again. But going back to this Gann chart here on the monthly, it's just been going from arc to arc. Right here on this cycle, I think it was prematurely ended. Yeah, I mean, it was a really weird cycle here. But so far, we did push through the arc, and we did end up hanging up here, and we did end up finding support here, kind of like we did over here. So I don't expect necessarily that it has to go to the next arc above, which is absolutely insane. Like, I don't believe that the cycle is going to go up to like 600, 700,000, right? It could end up here around 20,000. Not 20,000, 200,000, or it can end up going up above that a little bit, right? Because there are potentially some fit levels above that could hit. It could hit some, like even 300,000. I think it's entirely possible. But I just simply don't think that is over. Going back to a lower time frame chart here, I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to turn on the daily. Why am I doing the daily? I haven't really talked about too much about this because it's not something that I like think about every day. Reset chart review. Can I do this? It's not something I think about every day. But there's an indicator here called the pi cycle top, right? And the pi cycle top was devised before the top here in 2021. It was devised somewhere around 2018. Somebody decided to try to find a formula based on moving averages, and to try to see whether or not if there is a cross between two derivatives of moving averages, that when they cross, it can end up calling for a top of Bitcoin based on just backtracking the numbers here. It was based on the fact that they had a top here in 2013, a top here in the second top in 2013, and also another top here in 2017, right? And they used this, and there actually was a top during the last cycle around April of 2021. This top was called pretty well, actually. I mean, like, it's not like the exact thing, but it was called pretty well. Like, if you would have sold here and just don't come back, that would have been fine, because it did make a little bit of a higher high here. But I think that in all purposes, like you look at a lot of technical indicators and things like that, in all purpose, the top really was here back in like April 2021. Are we near the pi cycle top here? No, we're not. Like they're not even looking like they even want to touch, right? Like if you're trying to back test and look and see where we are at right now, I think like over here we might be like over here. I mean, it just seems like we're just so far away from having a pi cycle top, right? I mean, granted, these indicators, they don't always have to work out. You know, it's just they're derivatives of things, and you back test, you think that it would work out. It did work out once, as far as we're concerned, right? That was a pi cycle top right there. So yeah, I just don't think that we're quite there just yet. And also another thing too, if you are to look at the Bitcoin monthly chart here, I am gonna turn this on. Doesn't matter. Just I'm gonna delete the GAN here for now. I just want to do the RSI here on a monthly. Pretty much every single cycle since the existence of Bitcoin, it has gotten impulsive enough that it tends to touch this RSI trend line, right? Why did it do that? Reset. There you go. That tend to touch this RSI trend line here. Now, it's not a perfect trend line, but it's pretty good. There you go. It's not a perfect trend line, but it's pretty good, right? You're talking about it touching enough points for us to think that we're not really quite there. This is so weird. Oh, it's because I got a high cycle indicator. I'm going to take that off. Yeah, we're not really quite there quite just yet. And even if we touch it, we can still go up higher. Even if the RSI comes back down, we can still have another touch up here and still make a higher here in price, right? Even if we touch here in April 2000 or March of 2021, we can still go down and we can still have a bearish divergence here where price just, RSI just actually make a very much of a lower high here and price still makes a higher high, right? So even if it touches that, you can still make another higher high. That still hasn't happened yet. Like, it's just not normal cycle behavior. We haven't had that euphoria stage yet. And I'm just not sure. I'm still very skeptical that Bitcoin has topped, right? There's yet another indicator here called the MVRVC score. If you look at the weekly here, generally has to kind of touch this purple zone over here for a top to be called, right? The MR, I can't even say it. The MVRVC score is generally very good. Hey, Vegan, it's generally very good about trying to figure out whether or not we're near the top or we're near the bottom. And wherever it touches the bottom zone over here around 0, that's when it's like basically the bottom, right? It's been calling the bottom here for Bitcoin very well over the cycles, right? Now, it's touched the top here, it's touched the top here. All of these are Bitcoin tops, right? And again, I think the April top was top because it really touched around like February, right? We haven't even gotten anywhere near it. So we just simply haven't had that explosiveness yet. The on-chain data showing there's like really not much Bitcoin being left on exchanges. So that there's just a lot of supply and demand shock, and we haven't had the euphoric phase. There's a huge accumulation phase here. We just haven't really had a reason for Bitcoin to have really truly topped yet. I guess is what I'm trying to say. I'm not gonna be like saying that, oh yeah, this is Bitcoin's definitely gonna go a lot higher. I don't know that, but based on a lot of things I'm looking at, just based on probability, I just think that Bitcoin's gonna go at least to 200,000. And we still probably have another like 8, 10, 12 months to do it. Some people are also thinking, including what some of my favorite chartists, like Charting Guy. Like, I really want to bring him onto the show at some point because his stuff is really good. He's a really good guy too, by the way. I just want to kind of hear his thoughts about whether or not the cycle could potentially just keep on going higher. We haven't even had the altcoin season started yet. Like, that hasn't even really started yet. Bitcoin dominance is still high, right? And we haven't really had that big drop in Bitcoin dominance where there's a huge rotation from Bitcoin to everything else. We just simply haven't had that yet. So this is the Bitcoin dominance chart. I'm going to take a sip of water here. Just give me like 1 minute. I'm back. Bitcoin dominance, pretty much every single cycle after about a close to a year or so, like Bitcoin dominance usually end up dropping, right? And sure, we haven't really had much history here, but I'm going to pull up the bar support band here, kind of give you a little bit of an idea in terms of what I'm kind of looking at here. It's been extremely strong, this Bitcoin dominance. It just keeps on having a little bit of a blow off top here. But right now, we're finally getting into an area where we're starting to see a little bit of weakness here on the weekly time frame. On the monthly time frame, it still looks okay, but I'm starting to see a little bit of breakdown here because I haven't really had Bitcoin dominance really broke down underneath the bonus support band and try to backtest that resistance. That hasn't really happened. Even here, it broke down and it just takes a few candles for it just kind of push through and it just can't go a lot higher, right? But here we had a little bit of a 3 black crows into that kind of thing. We did end up breaking above, but then the bonus support band for the first time is really turning flattened, right? This may suggest a little bit of potential for a trend change. And right now, for the first time, we're really trying to backtest the bonus support band here from support here into resistance. So a little bit of a trend change there on the weekly Ichimoku. You can also see it like for first time really. It's just kind of broken underneath both the Tenkan and the Kijun, and they got really close together, looking like they're about to have a bearish cross. And they're both serving as more or less a little bit of resistance here. That's really for the first time that has ever happened. You still have a cloud support down here, and it might still take some time for the cloud to break through. Unless if you, next thing you know, you just have like one of these things. Oh, I don't care about the cloud anymore. It's time to run. Bam, right? I'm starting to see weakness here on Bitcoin dominance, and that's a good thing. That means that Bitcoin can keep going higher, and that means altcoins can keep going a lot higher, because that's basically what happened around the same time during the last cycle. With that said, we can talk about Ethereum, and we can talk about Doge and all that good stuff, right? With that said, we can talk about Ethereum. Right off the bat, we have the Ichimoku cloud here being pulled up. And right off the bat, you can see that it didn't have enough momentum to break this bearish candle here quite just yet. And it just wanted to come back and back test the weekly Ichimoku cloud, right? We broke through it, come and back test it, couldn't hold, broke underneath of it, pushed through, and then we're back testing it again. A lot of altcoins, a lot of stocks are also looking like this, by the way. I think they're just kind of consolidating sideways here. So I think Ethereum is doing what it needs to be doing technically. Now, we've got somebody. How do you say your name? Is it Old or Ole? I'm probably going to mess it up. How much do you believe in the significance of indicators, and which one do you consider to be the most significant? I believe the significance of the indicators in terms of if it fits the cycle behavior. And right now, there's a lot of things that are pointing out that way, right? I was talking about all these indicators, including GAN, including Ichimoku, even the Bollinger Band, including, I can even put like FIB levels, things like that too, including timing, including whether or not there is any rotation from like Bitcoin to altcoins, whether or not altcoin season has started, including a lot of different things, right? You can talk about a lot of different things, and I think a lot of different things still haven't really shown me, even like the Pi cycle indicator, even the MVRVC score, a lot of things still hasn't really come into that, and on top of that, sentiment also hasn't really been there, right? So it's just so many things that are pointing to the fact that I just don't think that we're there. If you ask me, there's one single indicator. I have my favorites. You know, it doesn't mean that I don't love all of them, right? I have my favorites. I'm not going to tell them that they're my favorites because that's not, that's not going to be psychologically healthy for them. But I do have my favorites. I love the Ichimoku. I'm starting to like GAN a lot. Started playing around with FIBs more. But I really love the Bollinger Band. I think the Bollinger Band, depending on how you interpret it, can be extremely powerful. And I think a lot of people kind of like just neglect it. And I've been talking about Bollinger Band on like nonstop. Whenever I go up to like a co-host show, they're going to talk about everything else. Even Matt talks about Ichimoku a lot. I just go straight to the Bollinger Band because I think that's something that I could contribute. So if I have to pick a favorite one that can really tell us support, resistance, trend, whether or not there's a trend exhaustion or trend reversal, I go to the bullish band. Going back to Ethereum, I feel that it does have some more room to go. I just feel that it is at a very good area here, right? It couldn't really get past the high here, and it just basically came back to 0.618 here, right? This is a bullish look. You want things to kind of back to 0.618 and hold, right? You can see how it really flipped the 0.618 for resistance here to support, right? This is a bullish look, right? Now, this is just this small time frame here. Oh, yeah, no problem. Very exciting indeed. Yeah. I'm going to turn off the Ichimoku here and do a little bit of fit level from the previous all-time high to the cycle low. I really would like this week, if it can, to close above 300, not 300, close about $3,376.2, because that would also be a resistance flip support level. That would also be a very good thing if it ends up doing that. It doesn't have to do what I want it to do. That's what I understand about the market. Because you don't have to be greedy. It already backtested the support band and hold. So yeah, don't be greedy. You're finding support, just take it, right? You find support here on the Ichimoku, just take it, right? You have more support than resistance, just take it. And we're also getting to the point where I think at this part of the cycle, this is going to be an area where Ethereum can just break out at any time. Because I still think that this cycle is a little bit weird, it's a little bit off. I still think that during the last cycle, let me see here. I'm going to pull up and do a little bit of comparison to the last cycle here to this cycle. During the last cycle, it was a little bit lagging behind, actually. I don't know whether or not COVID really messed things up here, but it was stuck underneath the 0.618 here for a very long time, right? It was even stuck here at 0.5 here for a very long time, making a double bottom. Pushed through, got rejected 0.618, back to 0.5, and it just mooned, right? Like it was running out of time, so it just decided it needed to push up a lot higher. Here, this cycle is a little bit more bullish in terms of the fit level sequence. You can see that instead of getting stuck here at 0.5, which we did, we pushed through. We already backtested once. You can argue this is like a second backtest. But we already went and through and touched the 0.786 here, a little bit earlier in the cycle, right? Just simply couldn't push up too far, because if we did, then it would have just mooned, and I guess it just wasn't ready based on cycle behavior, because things never changed. Got rejected over 0.886, right? Very different behavior compared to over here. Got rejected at 0.886, couldn't push through, came back down, back to 0.618, and right now you're trying to push through again. I would really like this week to close above 0.786 if it can. If it can't, that's okay. It's got some wicks underneath below. It's going to do whatever it wants to do. But so far, I'm not bearish on Ethereum. It's also like got rejected here at the upper Bollinger Band here on the monthly, but I think that the upper Bollinger Band is going to continue to expand higher over time. And the 20-month moving average is also starting at some pretty decent support here after its flip from resistance to support. So I think we're looking pretty nice here. I also see the same trend line on the monthly as I do with Bitcoin, right? Like I have a hard time believing that Ethereum has topped, with the exception, it's a trash asset, and there's so much competition, just like Tesla's trash, and there's so much competition, right? But with that said, if irrationality is to go higher, if they're going to pump Ethereum anyway, because they've been accumulating for like two years now. This is a reaccumulation zone over here. Like really, they would be reaccumulating for like more than 2.5 years now. Like, what do you think is going to happen, right? I still also think that it's going to hit this RSI trend line. I think that the RSI for Ethereum is eventually going to get up to like the 80s during the cycle. That hasn't happened yet. So yeah, again, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm going to backhold a bunch of Ethereum. It's like my biggest altcoin position. But if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm still pretty bullish on Ethereum. I don't think you can have an altcoin season starting without Ethereum, right? You have, before I move on to something else, okay. So one more thing, how high can Ethereum go? That's always a question. How high can Ethereum go? Well, Let me drink a sip of water and I'll talk a little bit more about that. But I'm just going to leave the picture here for now and turn off the RSI. I'm back. The question is, how high can Ethereum go? It depends. Depends on what you're looking at. Depends on how you're looking at it. I'm going to just get rid of this fit level here. This is a little bit distracting. There is a possibility that if you believe in the GAN, if you believe in market symmetry, believe that Ethereum is a growth asset that would go up over time, and that is going to find a proper resistance and support based on these GAN arc and GAN lines over here. They're all based on Fibonacci levels, by the way. If you believe in the market symmetry, then you would expect it to bounce over time from one level to another. And you can have sometimes breaking down a couple levels in back testing. You can certainly do that. But you believe in that, then the next logical thing for it to do would be for it to, once it flips something from resistance to support, to go to the next level. Where is the next level going to be? The next level depends on how you're thinking about this. The next level for this GAN chart here would be somewhere up here around 20,000, which is close to about a 6x from here, right? So 20,000 would be the next level. If you think that's based on FIB level, whether or not it's going to hit 20,000, maybe, right? The 1.618 is 14,000. There's always a chance that it might end up prematurely ending before that, or 1.44 might end up prematurely ending before the around 10,000, right? Or it might end up overshooting my $20,000 target, maybe up to like the 2 FIB level here, to the 26,000, 27,000, or it might end up going to the 2.272, where it just kind of overshoots here to like 40,000, 42,000, 43,000. It did that last cycle over here too, right? So all of those are possibilities. Regardless, because it's flipping resistance to support, I believe that it's going to go higher. And because on the weekly, there's just so much support level where we're at right now, I believe that we're going to go higher over time. And because we also have been accumulating for so long, and we just simply haven't really had the parabolic phase that happened where whales really want to distribute to at much higher prices. Because of all that, I just think that we are going to go higher. And I just kind of share with you the levels that I shared. And it will have to go up, probably majority of it probably have to happen over like the next 6 months, 7 months, 8 months or so. Which is also why I'm bullish on Coinbase, which is also why I hold coin now. That's my thesis, and it could be wrong, right? If you are looking at the others chart, if you're also looking at the others chart, now others chart is something that is a very good indicator in terms of telling you what Gusto, happy Gusto, gust of wind. Your name sounds Hispanic. Anyway, you got the others chart. This is basically the crypto total market cap, cryptocurrency total market cap, excluding the top 10 coins, right? So you're excluding Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP. You're excluding a lot of the stable coins. And this is really a good sentiment gauge. This is a good gauge in terms of what is happening with the cryptocurrency market. because it really tells you a lot about like meme coins, degen stuff, you know, or just like the risk on sentiment overall. It tells you all that. Now, what are we doing right now? It's very simple, actually. I just take up all this drawing here. Does this look like a bearish chart or a bullish chart to you? You know, if you're into the whole like head and shoulder thing, like this looks like inverted head and shoulder kind of thing, right? Doesn't it? You know, if that's the case, then like the target's going to be like up here, right? Or if you're into a whole cup and handle thing, this looks like a big giant cup. This looks like a handle. We broke through the handle, and right now we're trying to challenge the previous all-time high. Or you can use other indicators. You can use the Bollinger Band, sure. You can pull that up. Is basically turning the 20-month moving average here from negative sloping to positive sloping, is using as support to push price up a lot higher, right? Push the entire market cap a lot higher, right? So this looks very, very bullish for altcoins in general. Why haven't we broken out yet? Well, sometimes it takes time. Sometimes you need to wait for the upper Bollinger Band to go up higher, right? It just takes time. But if you're also looking at a couple of things, one thing is, back in August, I was basically saying that I think altcoins have bottomed, and like nobody cared. Like everybody's like, huh? Well, yeah, because it like came back down and it held this 20-month moving average is very, very positive sloping. It held 0.5, right? And this whole downtrend here looks like it's just a correction of a handle. At some point, it's got to stop, right? And also got a trend line over here that ended up back tested and it helped, right? I had posts like that on like September, basically saying I think altcoins bottomed. And so far, what are we doing right now? We're doing a more or less like a repeat kind of thing, right? You know, like over here it was more of this trend line over here. Over here it's more of this trend line over here. It made a high here, came back down, make a handle with this big giant cup here, push through, back testing the same level over here, right? And so far we're holding. I'm going to turn off the Bollinger Band so you can see a little bit clearer. And guess what? We had a hard time breaking out the through the 0.886, right? Understandable, because you break through 0.886 and it lights out. We're not ready yet, right? We're not ready. We also got rejected here at the upper Bollinger Band here a little bit. We're not ready yet. How can you say that there's going to be a bad recession coming that is going to crash everything? How can you say that because the Fed's going to stay higher for longer that everything is screwed? How can you say that because we haven't had a recession for a while and everything looks toppy, that this is the top, when altcoins look like this? I don't get it. I don't get it. Maybe I'm wrong, right? This is more of like a pure technical thesis. The thing about technical thesis is I'm also not trying to just draw lines and sticks, right? These are usually algorithm driven, and they also tell you about the liquidity going into risk on, risk off sectors, right? They tell you what the whales are doing based on price action. They tell you what big money is doing based on price action. And based on the technicals, I just cannot be bearish on altcoins. And by association, I just cannot be bearish on Bitcoin. I can also not be bearish on the overall market, on Fubo, on Rivian. I just can't be that bearish on IWM, right? I could very well be wrong. I'm a fool. I've been known as a fool before, but it's holding the 0.786 here almost perfectly. So with that said, let's talk about some altcoins. All of those things are just to set up talking about altcoins. DOGE, what is it doing? Why do I have all these arrows here? Let me get, oh yeah. Okay. The reason why I have all these arrows here is because I think that this look over here looks exactly like the previous looks before it moons, right? It looks very similar. We have a little bit of like a doji dimple over here. You know, you just want to touch it because it's so cute. Over here, a little doji dimple over here. Just want to touch it, so cute. A little dimple over here. Just touch it, so cute. Before every single time before it goes up, it just does a little thing right there, right? I just want to squeeze you. Anyway, over here, same thing. A little bit of dimple over here. How cute this Doge. Love it. Do I think Doge looks more bullish than XRP? We'll talk a little bit more about that. We'll talk a little bit more about that. It's a very, very different mentality or mindset between Doge and XRP. But yeah, I mean, I just think that it's giving me that look that it just wants to form that little dimple. Here's another dimple over here. You know, I love that dimple. It looks like it just wants to go up. It's consolidating sideways like it's supposed to after a big giant run up to 0.786, got rejected, came back down. Where did it go? It had thought COVID. It got sick, touched a 0.618, and it decided to want to probably rechallenge 0.786 here again. Plus some of the indicators, I guess. But before I do that, that's exactly kind of what happened over here. I'm not going to draw it, but I can. I'll draw it. I'll draw it. It's not that hard. Basically, what happened here, rejected by the 0.86, stuck between 0.786 and 0.618 here for a few weeks. Right now, we're stuck longer than we did last cycle. But last cycle, I think we were just kind of like in a hurry for whatever reason. So yeah, we're basically doing the same thing. There's really nothing different, right? We're on support band, still bullish, very similar touch here as opposed to touch here. Ichimoku, very similar. You had to break out the weekly Ichimoku cloud, break out Ichimoku cloud, holding the Tenkan Nikkei over here, holding the Tenkan Nikkei over here. It's underneath the Tenkan here a little bit. That never really bothers me. Like before it runs out, getting stuck between the Tenkan and Kijun before it runs up, like that doesn't really bother me. Looking at a higher time frame on the 2-week, above the Tenkan and Kijun. On the 2-week, very similar look over here as opposed to look over here, right? The consolidation after it broke through the cloud in the sky, right? Right around the top of the 2-week Ichimoku cloud over here. Right around the top of the 2-week Ichimoku cloud over here. It's doing very, very similar things, right? So where's it going to go next, right? Over here, this cycle ended up breaking all the way to like the 2.272. I don't think it's going to be that bullish, but it could be. Over here, last cycle, it just slides through the monthly cloud like butter. Over here, so far, we're getting rejected for like 3 months in a row. And then January might end up pushing through. I don't know yet, but January might end up pushing through. We'll see, right? We'll see. But so far, higher highs, higher low, higher highs, higher lows. Like, how can you say that a crash is coming? I don't. We haven't had that parabola yet, right? If you're talking about Fibonacci, again, I'm not going to draw this fit level here. I'm going to drop the fit level. I'm just going to do it. It's 2.272, right? You see that, right? What about this cycle? Are we going to go to 2.272 like $24 Doge? I don't think so. I think it's probably going to go to at least like $2 or $4. Could it go higher? Possibly. I don't know. Market cap, too big, liquidity, blah, blah, blah. Nobody knows. Rest my case, right? If your question is which one is more bullish, is it XRP or is it Dogecoin? My answer is this. Nobody knows, first of all. That's the right answer. The wrong answer is what I'm going to say, which is speculation only. I like Doge because it has well predictive behavior, because it already had 3 cycles, right? And we might be starting, yeah, this is basically like cycle number 1, 2, and 3, right? It has predictable behavior. So I have a general idea in terms of, okay, it's going to consolidate for like 2 years, it's going to form higher highs and higher lows, and it's going to probably break out, right? I don't know about that about XRP. That I don't know. On Doge, I can at least kind of say, okay, so it ended up, like even for this cycle over here, from here, going to the low here, where did it hit? It didn't really hit the 2.272 here in this cycle, right? And at 1.618 here, and that's it, right? So anywhere from 2.272 and 1.618 might be where the cycle ends, right? But I have predictable behavior that I can look at Doge in terms of trying to get a general idea in terms of where it's trying to go. XRP is a little bit different because it's been suppressed for so long that the last cycle will look completely weird, right? I have a GAN here. I'm going to leave it because I'm too lazy to delete and bring it back up. I think the XRP is probably going to at least hit like $7. It could hit higher. It can hit like 1.618 around 26, right? And that would be kind of equivalent to, Doge hitting like around $4, somewhere around there. So is it more bullish for XRP or is it less bullish for XRP? It's hard for me to say for sure, right? The one thing that I think might potentially make XRP more bullish, and I think the Great MASB is correct on this, is that there's just so much suppression over here during this last cycle that it might just end up getting so frustrated and just like, I gotta do it. I gotta, please let me do it. Please let me do it. I gotta do it. Please let me do it. It might just end up doing it. And it could go up a lot higher and the market cap should just go up like crazy. What happened during this last cycle here is it couldn't break above the 0.786, right? Clear rejection here is 0.786. When it couldn't break above the 0.786, then the bear market happens. If it breaks above the 0.786, then all-time highs happens, right? In general. Couldn't do it last time. You did it this time. Hey, buddy, you did it. So you're going to go probably make some all-time highs here, right? But how high is it going to go? Do I think it's going to go to 2.272, like $200 and $241? No, right? I think $7 is achievable. I think 26 is maybe achievable, right? Maybe even this can arc up here around 65. I think that would be absolutely crazy if it just wakes up there, maybe. But I think that I wouldn't say that one's more bullish than the other. I would just say that DOGE has more predictable behavior, and XRP is just less predictable. I just don't know exactly what it's going to do because it's been so suppressed here. And whenever these like crypto charts, if they decide to just get real bullish, they can break arcs number 1, 2, 3, and go to the 4th arc, right? Over here, you're just kind of breaking through one arc over here. So with that said, the market cap was a lot lower over here. I get it. It doesn't have to do all those crazy things, right? But that's XRP. I was skeptical. I was pretty verbally skeptical on Solana. I was a little bit more skeptical on Solana in terms of how it would perform this cycle. I still think it's going to go up higher. I still think that Solana is a pretty bullish thing here, because it also basically, just look at the weekly here, it touched the Ichimoku line and just slide up just like what Bitcoin did, right? Except that it underperformed Bitcoin, touched the previous all-time higher, got rejected, and has to come back and deal with the Tenkan Kijun down here. But it's still a bullish chart. It's still forming higher highs and higher lows, just back testing the zone back over here, right? If I may, it's just simply perfectly back tested. I actually didn't really check. I just did this. It's simply just perfectly back tested 0.86 over here, right? It's a bullish chart. Do I think that it's gonna like outperform everything? Do I think that this is gonna be like Solana's the way to go and Ethereum is not gonna like catch up to Solana? I don't. The reason why is because it's already made a lot of gains from like $8 all the way to like 260. A lot of gains have already been made, so there is going to be a lot of people who end up in huge profits that might end up just shifting that liquidity to pump something else, which is generally what happens. So because of that, I'm a little bit skeptical in terms of what Solana would achieve, in terms of whether or not it's going to go to like these crazy numbers here that people might imagine that Solana would go. I think that it's possible for Solana to make a 3x, to make a 5x, or even make a 10x. I can see that, but I am starting to see a little bit of a exhaustion here. And I was making a point like this, I think like months, I think like even last year, I was making a point around March or like April or something like that. There's no way for you to check my old post because I closed down my account because it got some scammers and whatever, long story. But anyway, but I really thought that Solana was probably going to take a breather and probably end up maybe not as outperforming as it was before, which happens when you're starting to develop bearish divergence on the monthly, right? Make another higher high here, but RSI going down. It happens. Just a thought. Still bullish though. Do you want to rotate out from Solana to other things? Up to you. I don't care. Let's talk about the rest of the meme coins here. Shiba. I've been buying some Shiba. Mostly because I also think that it's lagging behind Doge, and I already have enough Doge. I'm happy with my Doge position. I don't want to like increase my cost average here. So I was being a little bit cute and I was buying SHIBA. SHIBA is a little bit lagging because you remember how DOGE I was saying is stuck between 0.786 and 0.618, right? Well, SHIBA got rejected at 0.618. It's just been hanging around here, like 0.5, blah, blah, blah. You look at the weekly. If you look at a weekly here, you look at Ichimoku Cloud. I got rejected here at Ichimoku Cloud. You know, it's just kind of hanging in space. I think it's going to push for Ichimoku Cloud, though, when time comes. I think it's going to be fine. Look at the 2-week Ichimoku Cloud. It's already broken through, right? And it's just been consolidating sideways over here. A little bit of a cup and handle formation. Most likely it's going to end up having some bullish continuation here. I just couldn't see, like, SHIBA going that much lower. It can. Anything's possible. But I just don't see SHIBA going down that much further. Blue line support band holding very nicely, right? This fractal here where you have an up, down, push, up, back test, right? Up, down, push, back test, right? Very similar fractal here and there. The fractal, I'm also seeing a very similar fractal at the same time frame with like Clean Spark, by the way. So anyway, I just think that there is a little bit of a good support zone over here that find the risk reward ratio here to be pretty attractive. So I am buying some SHIBA. I think I'm probably going to buy some later today. Yeah, but I'm not bearish on SHIBA. How high can SHIBA go? If it goes from here, I do think that it probably knock off a 0 and it can do like a 20x. I think it's entirely possible. So yeah, just casually knock out a 0 and go do a 20x. You know, like these altcoins, they do that when they do that. BONK, what you doing, BONK? Same thing as Solana. You know, I was saying, you know, a lot of gain have already been made, and you can see that there is some relative weakness here on, you know, just looking at the chart, it just looks a little bit weaker. It did break it did break through this like trend line over here. It did make a higher high here. I do think that it's going to continue to participate with the rest of the bull market when altcoin season comes, but I just don't know if this is going to be a darling anymore. It can go up to the arc up here. It can make another 5x. You can even make another 10x. Potentially. All those things are possible. But I just don't know if that's the play. Watch I being wrong, and like it just keeps on pushing like arc up to arc, and it just keeps on going to the moon, you know. But in general, like based on technical analysis, it does look like there are whales that are in this that want to exit and maybe rotate to something else. One that a lot of people have been asking me to chart a lot. I'm just going to go ahead and throw this out here. Doc with hat. It's basically stuck between these two, Gen Arkin and Gen Arkin here down. Yeah, Anthony, I want to talk about IWM. I'm gonna probably save it till tomorrow. I just want to knock off the crypto stuff ahead. I'm gonna do a live stream and see how IWM closes today. I'm gonna circle back to that maybe tomorrow. I also made a few IWM posts on X as well, so feel free to check out those. Yeah, let's not talk about something serious like IWM. Let's talk about Doc with hats, because that's like totally market moving. I do think that there's maybe a little bit more downside to go. I could be wrong. It could just end up bouncing from here and go up. I could be wrong, but it's on the weekly here. It's still underneath a lot of resistance. You know, the bar support band right now is resistance here. It looks like I just need to find some kind of support to bounce from. So yeah, it's a little bit weak. It could go down a little bit further, even if the rest of the cryptocurrencies might end up doing better and bounce. Doc with head might end up going down a little bit further, and that's okay. It's consolidating sideways after a big giant move. I don't know what's going to happen next, guys. I can't even really draw if it levels. I don't know what's going to happen next, guys. It could go up here to the next arc up here, which is going to be like $16 potential, right? If it ends up breaking through this arc here, which is failed to demonstrate that it was able to do that to date. All right. PEPE Le Pew. This is also one of those that I think a lot of significant gain has been made. And I do think that a zero is going to get knocked out. And I do think that is basically pushing arc after arc, pushing FIP level after FIP level almost perfectly, by the way, like rejected at 1.272 perfectly, rejected 1.4 and 40 perfectly, backtesting 1.4 and 40 perfectly. I do think that is probably enough participating with the altcoin season. How high is it going to go? It's going to push through and knock out the zero? Possible. But I don't know, right? Like, I don't know, because it's already a significant amount of gains already been made, right? It's already knocked off like 2 zeros or something ridiculous. So how high is it going to go? I don't know. Anybody's guess, right? I do see a little bit of exhaustion here too, right? Whenever price goes up and you have RSI kind of trending down. Yeah, bearish diversion. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm not buying it. Kinkiest Maximus, I'm not going to buy it. I'm just going to let it be. Most important thing in life, I know. Talk with that. How can you even talk about that in a serious live stream when somebody talk about macro, turn up Bitcoin followed by dog with hat? Yeah, so let's talk about Link. Chainlink. A big one. I have a position, not huge, but enough to make a dent if it does well. Well, enough to make me happy if it does well. I got again here. Basically, it's very, very good market symmetry, right? Rejection support is stuck between these two arcs here for like 3 or 4 years, right? Actually, I can even say like 5 years. It's got inside between these two arcs here. It's been stuck here for 5 years. It's trying to break up above because it's forming higher highs and higher lows. It's trying to break above. Where are we at right now? Well, we're basically trying to flip this lower arc over here for resistance to support. Looks pretty good. No complaints. Broke through the weekly Ichimoku. No complaints. Broke through the 2-week Ichimoku. No complaints. Got rejected here at the monthly Ichimoku. Complaints, right? Here you're stuck in a range. You got the Gann arc here support. You got the Tengen here as support, and you got the cloud here as resistance. It's trying to push through. It just doesn't have enough energy yet, but it's forming higher highs and higher lows. Give it some time, see what it does. I think that based on the Gann is favorable, but based on the Ichimoku, it might take a little bit longer. I'm not going to lie, about the Ichimoku. It's a pretty thick cloud above, so there's going to be maybe some resistance. But at least the shorter term resistance, you already got through the Super Ichi, got through the Ichimoku, and the Bora support bands right underneath at the angle. You have a lot of like these weekly support down below that could help you push through things in the events that you need additional help. So the whole idea about Link here is, if you think that it's going to push through the arc here, where is it going to go? If you think it's going to push through the arc here, then it's going to go potentially to the next arc, right? Where's the next arc at? Well, around 1.414, could even overshoot that a little bit like it did over here. Yeah, it can. You can go to 1.618 here, around $200, 140, 180, whatever you call it. That's going to be the range if it ends up breaking above this whole zone over here, which includes the monthly Ichimoku cloud, is able to break through all that, then that's where it's going. Probably, right? ADA. What I think about ADA, very, very similar look. You have you have a 2 cycle here in comparison. They're very, very similar. Here, basically, you have been challenging this arc here. Once it broke through, it went to the next arc, right, and got rejected. I think we're at a very, very similar spot where initially it was resistance here, flip support, and go up to the next arc. I think we're at a very, very similar spot. Resistance, we're trying to flip it as support, and then if we do, we're going to go up higher, right? The other thing too is right here, very similar area over here, a little bit of a lower high over here, right, compared to that. Right here, very similar area over here, a little bit of lower high compared to that. We're trying to break above this resistance zone over here. And it's just been taking some time, but it's been $1 stable coin here. But I do think that given another few months or so, I do think that over time, it's probably going to end up hitting maybe like confluence zone over here at the angle and at the top of the arc here, which is going to be maybe around $9. If it doesn't do that, that's fine too, right? If it overshoots it, that's fine too. Nobody really knows. fib level wise, I would say that we probably have a hard time getting through the 0.76 on the first try, probably getting rejected, maybe come back that test the arc here or 0.618 here before pushing up higher. But yeah, it's just consolidating sideways over here. It's doing what it needs to do, build energy to push through. No biggie, right? Ichimoku, bullish, very similar look over here as opposed to over here and over here, right? What about the monthly Ichimoku? What do I see here? Well, it looks the same as Chainlink, right? Resistance and support. So give it a few months, see what it does. That's all I gotta say. Another one, and there are two other ones that are very bullish compared to everything else. One is XLM. XLM is looking very decent. It couldn't really hold the cloud as support here after it broke through initially. And right now you're still trying to challenge the top of the cloud here. It looks pretty decent. It looks like an alternative version of XRP. And it has yet to really develop a previous all-time high, or yet to develop an all-time high in period, right? Why is that? Well, it's because it tried to push through the 0.86 here, wasn't able to. Right now, you're trying to challenge 0.786. If these fit levels get broken, then all-time high stuff coming, right? $2, $4, $8, all those are potential. That was quick. The reason why I think that it has some relative strength here is just look at, I don't want to look at Ichimoku, I want to look at Bollinger Band, right? You see how it's holding the daily 20 and it's just pointing up like this, right? A lot of the other stuff, even Bitcoin's not doing that, is resistance right now, right? Ethereum is not doing that, it's resistance. Dogecoin's resistance is looking better, right? But it's still resistance. Shiba is resistance. Chainlink is resistance. XRP, support, right? Support, right? Which is why I think that XOM is got some relative strength. You know what else has relative strength? Well, not HBAR, but relative strength over the last few days. SUI, support, right? Let's talk a little bit about this one, because a lot of people asked me about this one before as well. I'm gonna just do a weekly chart here where the GAN comes with as a complementary service, 180 and 0.2. And you can see how it broke through this arc here and backtested this from resistance to support. So logically, it's going to end up going higher. And it could end up gravitating up to the arc here above. And the bull trend still looks very, very impulsive. So it might end up breaking after arc. Maybe we end up getting some pretty strong resistance up here. But it looks like it wants to keep going. Maybe it doesn't even hit resistance until the 2.272. I don't know. Regardless, this is looking pretty decent. How high does it go this cycle? I'm showing you these targets here. It depends on how many arcs it breaks. I don't know. Nobody knows. Let's talk about HBAR. Nobody talks about HBAR. Nobody cares about HBAR. But HBARs look really good. 720, 0.01. Great market symmetry here on the GAN. Rejected over here, broke through, back test the bottom of the arc here. Looks like it's building energy to try and push for the top arc here, together with 0.786, right? And confluence is remarkable. If you get your Costco shopping done, stay safe, no gains, be careful. Or is it lock gains? Anyway, it looks like it wants to push through 0.786. It wants to push through the arc over here. It looks like it wants to go up higher, right? So as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to give it the benefit of a doubt that it does break through this and breaks through 0.786 and into the next arc you go, right? And HBAR is one of the more bullish ones. I don't think it's done yet. I think it's going to probably end up like doubling, tripling, core tripling 10x. It might even break my GAN square here. So okay, so I'm going to talk about a few more, and I'm probably going to sign off because it's been over an hour, and I probably need to like let low gains go shop at Costco. I've got Avalanche, What do I think about Avalanche? Well, it's not ever launching down. It's trying to break above the and I think this is it log fib? No, it's linear. Yeah, I mean it's just basically stuck underneath the 0.618 here on the log here. It's been trying to break through this arc here, having a hard time doing it. I think it's building up enough energy to want to do that. It's basically backtesting the Ichimoku here, is doing a pretty good job finding support there. It's also backtesting for our support band, doing a very good job finding support there. So I think it's probably going to push through, challenge the arc here, and 0.618 here. It's going to go to 0.786 here to $80. You might get getting stalled here a little bit longer, and then you're going to push for the next arc. And if it ends up pushing the next arc, then the arc after that, the cycle might end up at 1.414. Or maybe a little bit higher, maybe a little bit less, right? Maybe it ends up just a little bit of an all-time high, maybe even up to this line over here, 230 or something like that. And that could be the end. If it ends up breaking about 0.618 and 0.786, and it looks like it wants to, based on what I'm seeing, where we're at the cycle, based on our support band, based on Ichimoku, right? Based on what I just told you about what the others chart look like, right? I do want to talk a little bit about two more that everybody asked about. Rendar, RENDR. Trying to break above the previous all-time high here. Not able to do that, but it's looking like it wants to break out. It also made a significant amount of gains already, right? It also has been one of those that just kept going up and up during the bear market, right? For Bitcoin. So does it have to be in sync with the rest of altcoins and with Bitcoin on the way up? Not necessarily. Right? You have to be a little bit cautious about that. It may not make another 10x anymore. It could make another 3x, 5x. If it makes another 10x, it'd be 1.618, which I guess I can see that happening too. But right now we're at resistance. Right now it's looking a little bit Solana-like. So we'll see what it does, right? Not many people ask me about this anymore. Same thing, Fetch AI, not many people ask me about this anymore because it's just been rejected here at the arc over here, right? It's holding 0.76 here very well, just like what Solana is doing. If they break above this arc, then it's probably going to go up to the next arc, right? Or maybe it doesn't, maybe because it's really been like very, very bullish here, even during the whole, like, in the last couple of years or so. It's just made an all-time high here way before a lot of other things. Does it end up just making a little bit like a higher high here to maybe $7, $12 in the end of the cycle? Maybe. Or it can end up hitting the circle up here around 1.618, which is going to be like 20x. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. But I just think a lot of gains have been made, so I'm a little bit more cautious when it comes to that. COTI. This is a coin that I do own, not a whole lot. I think I have like maybe like $1,000 or something like that. I just have like a little like position. It's not gonna make or break, unless if it like goes up a lot higher. If it goes up to like something crazy like 1.618 and goes this at 50x, I'm gonna be very happy, you know. But right now it's just holding the 0.382. I even have a hard time holding it so far this week. So yeah, we'll see whether or not it pushes through, but rejected or the arc over here. Has to push through the arc, has to push through the angle, 0.618. A lot of resistance here above. Do I think it's going to push through? Yeah, probably. Once it does, once some like liquidity comes in, it can break arc after arc after arc. It did that over here, right? It basically, from the bottom here to the top here, it made an 8x just like that, right? So what, you know, it can be like, it could be an arc breaker, right? It's still underneath resistance. It's consolidating sideways. We'll see what it does. I like COTI. This is one of those that I do have. I also have Cortesi. Cortesi is a little bit of a laggard for me. I haven't really been adding. I have maybe like a few hundred to like $1,000. So this is a very, very small position. I'm just like, whatever you want to do. Have a hard time doing that higher high, higher low look after this peak over here. Very vicious downtrend. I'm just going to let it sit. I'm not going to do anything about it. Do I think it's going to make an all-time high? I'm not even sure. If it does, it's going to be a 10x from here. So, but we'll see if it breaks like the 0.618, or it breaks the 0.786. Then we'll talk, right? There's still a lot of potential gains to be made, but, you know, blah. JASMY, one of those that I do have. I'm still very bullish on JASMY over longer term. Put out the Ichimoku here. It's been bouncing off the Ichimoku almost perfectly. It's got a head and shoulder continuation pattern. I laugh every single time when I say that, because head and shoulder pattern is one of the bearish structure that technical analysts first learn, and even now they look and see a head and shoulder pattern. They keep calling it out, right? The success rate of head and shoulder pattern actually is not very high, but if it's a head and shoulder pattern, it's a head and shoulder continuation pattern, decide to go up and break this lower arc over here, couldn't hold, came back down, got support here at the Ichimoku, got support here at the bottom support band, and it looks like it's building energy. It's trying to push through. If it's able to break this arc over here, where's it going to go? 0.618, right? It's going to 6x from here. If it breaks that arc over here, if it's an arc breaker, if it breaks one arc after another, where is it going to go? 0.786 up here, right? It's going to make it 20x, right? Or even higher, right? Maybe like 25x, right? Does it make break this higher? Does it make an all-time high? Does it go to 17 bucks? I don't think so, right? But yeah, this is one of my bigger positions. I'm very happy to hold it. I'm just going to let it do its thing. A couple other ones that I personally have, and these are actually, let's talk about MATIC. MATIC has been extremely very much of a laggard here. This is the weekly chart here. There you go. Beautiful market symmetry. This tells you exactly what you need to know about MATIC, which is that it's done nothing. It's stuck between two arcs and it's done nothing. And it actually came back and backtested this confluent zone over here almost perfectly. It touched the angle, touched the arc, touched the horizontal, and found support, right? Like I'm gonna even look at that. Well, okay, maybe not. But it got really, really close to it, right? And it just bounced off to that. To me, and it got rejected here at the angle here, by the way. To me, I think it's going to want to gravitate up to this arc. I don't know whether or not during this cycle there's enough time to try to build energy and make all-time highs to like 24 bucks. I don't know, right? It's just a vicious downtrend, and it's still haven't really made that higher high quite just yet. I do have a position from like years ago before I do like technical analysis. I'm not adding to it at all. I'm just going to let it be. I do think that we are at a very strong support zone down here, which makes it more likely for it to challenge the arc up here during this cycle. It may or may not break. I don't know. But that's kind of what I'm looking at there. Now, a couple of ones that I do have, which is BOBA. BOBA is a super small cap. That's why it's like extremely volatile to the upside and extremely volatile to the downside. It's just very, very low cap. It's holding the 0.136 fit level here very beautifully, right? It could go up a lot higher in a hurry. Just needs a little bit of volume. It went from like 10 cents or up to like $1.20 in just 6 months. And this is just wave 1. Right, this is wave 2. I don't know how far wave 3 is going to go. I'm just going to hold on to it and see what it does. Very, very small cap. I think like 30 million market cap, right? Another market cap that's also very small is what is it? That I also have is SUKU. SUKU is not looking. It basically they're the same thing. This one I think is like 20. This one I think is 20 million market cap. Backtest is 0.136 here, holding perfectly, right? And right now, maybe this is a little bit of a higher low compared to there. I don't know. But if it decides to run, it went from like 3.4 cents all the way to like 30 cents, just 9x, just like that low liquidity environment. If there is truly liquidity coming, you can literally just push for all-time high like it's butter. But it doesn't have to. It's risky, right? It can end a cycle up here too, 0.618, 0.76. Nobody really knows because the market cap is just so low. But I think that it's still more or less following the behavior of a lot of other altcoins that it makes me feel that the upside is going to be tremendous, the downside is going to be tremendous, but overall, this is still relatively an uptrend. Oh man, I went through a lot of coins. Even CRV. CRV has formed a little bit of a higher high compared to here, right? I think CRV has turned bullish as far as I'm concerned. I think CRP has flipped the 20-month moving average from resistance here to support, and it's just simply it haven't really had that Bollinger Band expansion yet, so it couldn't go up higher yet, right? You even have it so bullish over the last couple months that you end up having a bullish crossover here, and you end up having a katana. I think CRV, the next move is going to do after this done consolidating, if it doesn't break down underneath of that, which it could, but if it doesn't, then it's going to the cloud. The cloud's around $2. And we'll see what happens when it breaks through, right? I don't think it's going to be like, all-time high. I just don't think that's going to be the case, but it's turning bullish. What else do you guys want me to talk about? Oh, two more. I have two requests here for altcoin. One is Onyx. I guess it's let me see. I think Onyx. Let's see. Let me do this one. It has more history here. Looks good. Not like definitely like up, right away, but looks good right off the bat, right? Huge downtrend, push up, turning the Tenkan on a monthly from resistance to support, turning the 20-month moving average from resistance to support, have a hard time breaking above the upper Bollinger Band. You see how this looks very similar to CRV. So I think it's going to look okay. Do I think it's going to make an all-time high? Not necessarily. Let's see if it breaks. I think you're going to get resistance up here, 0.382, around 0.58 cents. And I do see that this cycle, this turns out to be bullish. It might end up hitting 0.618, 0.786 to end the cycle. If things just get parabolic, then I'm wrong. It just keeps going up higher. But those are probably like some of the targets. I do think this is a very bullish look to it. I don't really need to like chart anything else. Even on the Ichimoku is breaking through. Ichimoku is back testing it almost perfectly. Even on the BOBA support band, it's already back tested and is holding, right? So looking pretty decent. I don't have any concerns with this. Is looking like it wants to do the thing, right? I was asked to look at MOVR, looking at Binance. So I'm going to look at Binance here, and it's basically a little bit of a laggard on the lower time frame. You can see that it got rejected here on the Ichimoku, right? You can see that it's kind of breaking down a little bit on the bull market support band, although not too bad, right? And on the higher time frame here, you can see it's kind of breaking down a little bit underneath the 20-month moving average, right? Again, not too bad. So it's just probably still going to end up consolidating sideways here a little bit compared to the other ones I was showing you, where they got over the weekly Ichimoku, where they got over the bull support band, and the bull support band is kind of pointing up. This is probably going to be a little bit of a laggard, right? Got rejected here 0.5 almost perfectly, so it's going to have to gravitate back to that level. Where do I think the cycle could end? Again, it depends. It's probably going to end up consolidating sideways. If it doesn't end up breaking above all these resistance that it's facing right now, then then you might need some reevaluation to see whether or not this is the one. But I think it's probably going to participate with the rest of the altcoins, but you do have to reevaluate at some point to have realistic expectation. Tenkan here is resistance too, right? It's underneath resistance. That's the theme. It's consolidating, and it could break through. It may not. I don't know. All I know is that this downtrend here is on low volume here too. They've also looked at a weekly. It does look like this whole downtrend here is on lower volume here too, right? So to me, I think there probably is enough energy for us to at least challenge the cloud here again and challenge the 0.382 again. I think it's going to happen, but it's still underneath resistance, so it might not just moon right away. With that said, if it goes from here to the top of the cloud here, that's a 2x. So, all right. Set to report there's no bulk sales on Bitcoin currently. Yeah, they don't. They're running out of Bitcoins even in Costco. So I want to thank you all for joining this live stream. There's only currently 35 people watching. Probably going to be a lot more people watching through the weekend. It's still considered a weekday. Not everybody get a snow day like me. So I will focus more on tomorrow's live stream at 5. And I'm going to focus on more the macro, the indexes, the macro, stocks, miners, and whatever requests you guys have. I already have a ton of requests on my list for stocks already. HIMS, QuantumScape, Okta, BlackBerry. Somebody asked about Celsius, SoundHound, Uber. I'm going to talk about all that. I'm going to talk about all the miners as well. So thank you for catching the show today. I hope you all have a wonderful market close to the week. We will see what happened. But before I go, I'm just going to take a peek here at Palantir because I'm curious. Looking at the daily, looking pretty decent so far. I'm not sure it has to touch the daily cloud because it's already trying to hang on to the lower Bollinger Band here. And whenever it's trying to hang on the lower Bollinger Band here, it just seems like it could be a little bit of a bottoming thing. It just keeps on making this rounded top, lower Bollinger Band, rounded top, lower Bollinger Band, rounded top, lower Bollinger Band, rounded top, lower Bollinger Band. We will see what it does. Initially, I was hoping for Palantir to close above the blue line over here around $71.66. It's not doing that, probably. It's a shame. I'm wrong. What can I do? It's so upsetting when I'm wrong. It did end up coming and back testing the monthly Bollinger Band here, though. So it looks pretty tasty. Tesla is positive right now. Tesla is looking pretty decent. Okay, so nothing worrisome. I'm going to just take a peek at IWM here a little bit. It's holding 0.786 here, right? So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's holding that. It is not holding the Tenkan here, unfortunately. The blue line here is not holding that. But this is a monthly chart and the month's not over yet. So on the weekly, it's also not holding the kitchen. Yeah, could be at risk to go down, but again, you have a lot other kind of support here. It's also broken down underneath the Bollinger support band. It's done that before, guys. Don't worry. It's done that before on the way up. Don't worry about that. It's got a bearish engulfing candle. Oh no. Oh no. But again, some pretty decent support level at the 0.786. And also the volume really isn't that high. There's only another hour and a half, so I can say that the volume really isn't that high. So this could potentially be reversed easily. Sometimes a bearish engulfing candle is not that bad, right? It's just the way that you look at things. Not all bearish engulfing candles have to be absolutely terrible. A lot of times they actually don't work out. So anyway, happy to hang out with you. I'm going to go now. Later, Jules. Anthony, I talked about IWM, so hopefully that was satisfactory for now. Take care. Bye.